Good evening everyone and a very warm welcome on behalf of Essel Finance and Z Business. My name is Mihir Bhatt and I'll be your host for the evening. In last 1 month, I think सबसे ज़्यादा अगर कोई लाइन हमने सुनी है, it is अच्छे दिन आने वाले हैं. And a lot of people are saying that we are at the cusp of a new beginning. And it's almost like, the whole economy is being reloaded. So in next couple of hours, we are trying to figure out, and we are going to figure out, कि क्या वाकई अच्छे दिन आने वाले हैं? And if yes, then how all of us can benefit from it. What we are trying to discuss today is the creation of wealth. It could be in any sector, it could be in any instrument, it could be in any asset class. How it can trickle down to the last person of the society, because if that doesn't happen, then this whole idea of wealth creation somewhere loses its objective. But at the same time, the pillars of economy, they have to remain solid. So this is just a brief overview that I'm trying to give you. Without taking much time, first of all, a very warm welcome to our eminent jury here, Shri Amitabh Chaturvedi, Shri Pranay Vakil, and obviously above all, Shri Subodh Kumar. Please give them a huge round of applause. I would now like to invite Shri Amitabh Chaturvedi to share his vision. Please.
I think we will see next 10 years of financial services again in a very big manner. Mihir was talking about one popular statement, "Achhe din aane wale hain." If that is true, one sector which will contribute a lot to the economy is financial services sector. So we have an ambition of becoming a conglomerate. So you will see Essel Finance into almost all type of financial services businesses over a period of time. Something which is up and running today, we have a private equity fund. Domestic, we plan to have around 500 crores from a domestic investors. We also got a license in Singapore for fund management. Quite likely in 3 to 4 months time, we will have between 150 to $200 million of fund only for real estate. We have 2 experts also, they will talk a lot on real estate, but as Essel, one vertical which is up and running is the private equity for real estate, domestic and international. Second vertical which is up and running is an NBFC. So we have just acquired a license. I've gone through a Reserve Bank route of having 100% stake in a non-banking finance company. Our intention is to do SME lending. We feel when economy will grow, there is a huge space to lend to small and medium enterprises. Collateralized, secured, 16 to 18% bracket. So we will be a reasonably big player as far as lending is concerned through an NBFC route. Third vertical which is up and running is investment banking. Unlike many domestic investment bankers who do a lot of syndication and fundraising for domestic companies from domestic investors, we thought if we can take a niche position, we will be a player where we will do only cross-border transaction, where we have created a franchisee of around 7 or 8 associates in various parts of the world, and we will help Indian corporate raise money in overseas market there. So these are the 3 vertical which is up and running. Going forward, as and when there is an internal approval, we will get into other lines of business there. Once again, thank you very much for coming here.
I'm very happy that we have a very eminent personality among us today who can answer practically any question you have on real estate, on governance, on regulatory issues. I would like to introduce a very eminent personality, like I said, Shri Subodh Kumar.
Good evening to everyone. India is urbanizing very fast. India is one country which has performed below its potential for a very long time. You have everything going for India. Demographic dividend, a very confident, educated youth. There is no way India will not grow. It will grow with good government policies. It will grow despite government also, which has been happening for some time. So India is bound to grow. Any growth is followed with urbanization in any case. Urbanization in India is very less. It's less than 35%. Two exceptions like Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra, slightly over 40%. India is bound to urbanize. Whatever the shortage of houses we keep on talking, 23 million or whatever, rural urban. Having a house in the rural area is no comfort once you come and live in an urban area. You require another house for that. So that means it's a sector of economy where we propose to land, where demand is not the constraint. These are the blips, I mean, that sometimes liquidity in the market is less or somebody is not buying in anticipation of prices coming down, not because people don't need houses or they can't afford houses. And that phase is also going to go away. If you want money in the stock market, you also put in somewhere else actually after that. So I do not see any demand constraint, and I do not see any problem of selling the product also. I think I'll close at this time and wait for the question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We also have with us Mr. Pranay Vakil. Sir, I would like to invite you for a very brief remark on the current situation in real estate market, and then we can throw the floor open for the Q&A session.
Good evening, friends. There is nothing like real estate. And I'm sure all of you, when you're confronted with this question on how is the market doing, there is no one answer. The market is behaving very differently for land transactions. And if you want to make maximum money, even when we are talking about recession in the real estate industry, the land has always outperformed any other asset class, and even within real estate, the commercial office space or residences. Some of you have invested into commercial office space. Some of you possibly are sitting on empty, vacant office space, seeking an answer on what is going to happen. A very optimistic demand for office space of about 33 million square feet per annum, year after year after year. The supply has been 40 million square feet for the last 3 years. Do you need an answer on what's going to happen? You will have to wait for 2 more years in this segment of office space before you see any recovery. Let's talk about residences. You'll find 2 segments in the residential segment which are having a problem. The super luxury segment and the very affordable low-cost segment. Again, the reasons are very different. In the low-cost segment, what happened was that when you're selling a product for 2,000 rupees a square feet, where about 1,200 rupees a square feet is your cost of construction, you pre-sold your stock. And the cost jumps up from 12 to 1,500 rupees per square feet. You can know what can happen to you. Your margins are completely squeezed. On the top segment, in this segment, again, there has been a little bit of a slowdown. The market has behaved superbly well between 50 lakhs and 1.5 crores. I think that is a segment which has always done well, will continue to do well. It is really affordable in the present context. And therefore, if you ask any developer who is in that segment, he's laughing his way. Instead of inflicting more talk on you, I would be happy to kind of answer questions, at least try and answer the questions you may have. And I'm sure you have lots of questions. Thank you very much.
The expectation from the new administration is so high. अच्छे दिन आने वाले हैं. Right from common man to the person sitting at the top, everybody believes. आपने इस इंडस्ट्री को इतनी क्लोजली देखा है. Now, is it possible to really change the way this industry operates? And if yes, is it possible to see the structural reforms which are needed to maybe revive the animal spirit in this industry in the coming years? आपका view क्या है?
I believe this industry, this new government, will try to give a push to this industry. Perhaps you may see in this budget itself. Creation of 100 smart cities, new cities, that itself is a very big initiative. 100 cities means tremendous amount of construction activity will take place there. There is some attempt to be made that finance from banking sector can flow to the sector a little more. Maybe ECB route will be opened up a little more. That's the kind of expectation, but one will have to wait for the budget for that.
Amitabh, my next question is for you. Looking at the current scenario, and we have seen the way developers have been facing funding issues, and obviously there are alternate routes to the funding as well, like private equity is a very popular route. On the conventional side of funding, where the interest rates have been one of the major laggards, or it has been a dragging factor for the entire developing industry, what is your view on that, and also on the alternate funding route, especially the private equity?
Most of the banks are stuck with developers. NBFCs are also not able to get their money back. Private equity guys are not able to encash. So maybe the new model is private equity through a debt route. So instead of we expecting 33% return or maybe 40% return from share of profit of the developers, I think we are happy to get anywhere between 18 to 20% rate of interest from the developers. Two very tight monitoring, try and take 2x cover, try and monitor his sales on a weekly or a monthly basis, so that this category will continue getting money from private equity but in a debt form at an interest rate between 18 to 20%.
Mr. Vakil, I'll take one question from you and then we'll throw the floor open for the questions. Since you mentioned about the oversupply part, in some segments, in some pockets, overall when you take bird's eye view of real estate market in India, and especially the way it is divided right now, residential, commercial, or tier 1 and tier 2, 3, 4, what sense are you getting in next 3-4 years how this industry may unfold?
For a short-term view, if you end up being in certain markets, you may not make money, even if the product gets completed as scheduled, because of the inherent oversupply, or you might be in the IT segment or whatever it is. In the medium term, no matter where you are, I don't think you can go wrong. And I talk about medium term as 3 to 5 years.
I would also like to say, into getting the impression that the shortage of housing stock and property prices only go northward, whether in steps or otherwise, that's not always the case. I'll take you from 1980 to till today. If you take the late 80s, even a place like Malabar Hill, the maximum price was about 3,000, 3,500 rupees per square feet. It started increasing in the early 90s. Up to 95, it increased very rapidly. From 95 to roughly 2000, the prices came down by 40% actually in Mumbai. The property which was selling, say, for 3,000 rupees in the suburbs, its price became 1,700 rupees, 1,800 rupees. So this thinking that property price always keep on going up 10% or 20% every year cannot be sustained in any industry for that matter. So prices are bound to fluctuate in some markets or other.
I think we'll take questions now. Anybody who has a question, please raise your hand. Yeah, the gentleman at the back.
How do you expect an investor trusting your judgment on a builder? That's question number one. And number two is, in the absence of a regulator, what are the controls and checks that you have other than administrative or functional, things on his performance? And because the property is constructed over a period of 3 to 5 years, and many bylaws and other things happens, including change of government, how do you really see this scenario from a security point of view?
What all you say is technically correct. Take investment committee as a regulator. Take us as your trustees or your caretaker. What all in Essel, what we do, I must tell you what all we do in Essel. First of all, we do not finance somebody who is just about to start a project. So greenfield project is ruled out from our category. We try and give money to somebody who has done his maybe 50 or 60% of his project is completed. We give him money against receivable of his past sales, and we give him money against hypothecating of about his future sales there. So risk is anyway there. Risk is there in mutual fund, risk is there in insurance industry, risk is also there in fund management, what we offer for investors like you. But we try and mitigate by doing escrow account. We give NOC for every sale. And when we give an NOC for a sale of a flat, we try and see at what price he has sold that flat.
One is, what is his take on the FSI structure in the country? And number two, what would he personally bet on, commercial or residential real estate?
As far as the FSI is concerned, what the government is doing is very selectively increasing the FSI. You're doing a hospital, you have a different FSI. You do a hotel, you have a different FSI. If you're doing a low-cost housing in certain areas, you have a different FSI. The best model to follow for FSI is the one which is followed in Hyderabad, where there is no FSI. In Hyderabad, there is no FSI. There is a height restriction. You have to leave a certain open spaces, but then you can build what you like. I think that's the best model to really follow. If I'm looking to some return on my investment, in addition to capital appreciation, I would bet on commercial. But when will I bet on commercial? Only when I have a tenant. When I have a tenant that's locked in for at least 3 to 4 years.
See, FSI will never come down. It will keep on going up slowly. People are scared of increasing FSI. When I introduced fungible FSI in Mumbai, there were lots of people who had apprehension. There's somebody who done for builders to appease them and try to curry favor with them. But when it came with the logic, nobody really opposed it actually. And in lots of buildings now, or lots of land, FSI available is about 25 to 30% more than what used to be available earlier. So FSI will increase. Unlimited FSI, what Hyderabad has done, can also create lots of damage to the city, which has happened in Hyderabad. They restricted the height, but made FSI unlimited. These two things do not go together. As a result, what happened? There were lots of ground coverage of the plot actually. And lots of buildings have been constructed with height restriction. Height is restricted, number of floors are restricted. To increase the consumption of FSI, they have to have the highest ground coverage. So you will see building after building in which my flat window and the opposite flat window, you can shake hands with each other actually. And nobody is buying those properties.
I think there was a question this side.
My first question was, it was regarding affordable housing is being talked about getting infra status. Yeah. So probably full real estate as the infra status, or regulated banks being allowed to fund the land. So how would this impact the sector and especially the options available to the developer in terms of the funding?
See, right now, affordable housing, the way it is being talked about, what is affordable really? In many countries you will say how many years of your income can buy a house. That decides affordability. Here, the average per capita income is much lesser. So you don't know how to define affordability. In Mumbai, MMR, nobody can buy a house in that. So affordability artificially defined in that case. If the house is up to 30 lakhs rupees, then it's called affordable right now, I mean. That means Mumbai is out of that. Outside Mumbai, MMR is part of that, I mean. So that means affordable housing. One thinking in the government is land is scarce. In the housing stock which you buy, part is the cost of the land and part is the cost of the construction, I mean. Land is a big component of that. You can reduce that cost, make it more affordable by giving higher FSI for that. So as soon as you say affordable housing, you will say, instead of 1 FSI, I'll give you 4 FSI. Say if you construct some house in Karjat, when the FSI has become 4, the land cost has become 1/4 for him actually to sell in the market. And then the price may come below 30 lakhs. For that, you want to make finance more easy. Whether it should be at a lesser rate of interest is something details one has to see in the time to come. But I think affordable housing is going to get a boost in any case. Now, bank funding of the land is something, is an issue which has been debated in the country for a very, very long time, even for industrial financing. it is felt that land is speculative. There is no really ready reckoner in that sense to know what the real price of the land. So lots of bank funding may get locked in by artificially inflating the land price. By having 3-4 circular deals of the land, you can say that this land was bought for this much money, this was again bought for this much money. So you can check up the prices, show to the banker the price is more. And that's why the lands are generally not financed by the banks. Whether it should be financed or not, really I can't say at this stage.
Yes, the gentleman here. So, yeah.
Good. One question for Mr. Vakil. Now, in the IT situation going down, is there going to be any change in the rules for the IT buildings?
Well, I have no inside information on this at all. But to the extent the buildings have been constructed as IT, there are small relaxations which are coming, that it can be used for financial services, and it becomes interchangeable. So in any case, 20% of the building can be used for normal commercial use. It's only the 80%, between financial services and IT, it can be used. So that is the regulation today. If it remains unoccupied, take it from me, that the regulations will be diluted more and more and more until the problem is solved.
One more? Yeah, please.
I have a question for the esteemed panel regarding some insight into the real estate investment trust, which the government is also giving a thrust to. So how would you see that panning out in future, especially with the importance given to that?
We've been waiting for this for the last 5 years. Yes. To answer your question, is it good or bad, or is it going to happen? Yes, I think it's going to happen. Is it good for the industry? It is excellent for the industry from the governance point of view, from the check money point of view, from the point of view that a lot of these projects require good funding which REIT can give.
We'll see two major change, structural change in the real estate. One is the real estate regulator, and second is the trust structure. Very soon, my view, gut feeling, it will be a reality in India.
So one more thing from the regulator point of view in the real estate, is there any plan in the pipeline to rate the projects of the real estate builders?
That is something which even the domain of the regulator. Regulator, if he wants, he can do that. And first regulator in the country is coming in Maharashtra. You will see maybe within a month or...
We'll take one last question.
मैं आपसे राय लेना चाहता हूँ, खास करके बॉम्बे में जो नया साल आने वाला है 6 महीना के बाद, उस टाइम पर रियल एस्टेट मार्केट कैसी होगी, उसका मुंह को खाली जवाब दीजिए बस.
आप हंसते हुए दिखाई देंगे, रोते हुए नहीं.
Positive thinking. Thank you.
We generally get such questions in stock market shows. But anyways, it was a pleasure having all three of you on the stage. And thank you, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, all of you.